fuel. Click it once. We have 3 extra folders. We have a fuel map, fuel modifiers and staged fuel injection. The fuel map will just bring up our current fuel map. Double click on the fuel modifiers and we open up 10 new folders. In these folders we have fuel trims. Click once on fuel trims and we open up a new screen. In this screen you'll see that you've got 9 buttons which are load and RPM based. What these allow us to do, either via the text down here or by just holding your mouse and moving the dials around, quickly tune and ascertain whether you need to be richer or leaner. What we can do is actually decrease fuel here, increase fuel, decrease fuel at 3 different load bands by 3 different RPM bands. Once finished and happy with that, if you apply this to the map, this will actually change the number on the screen. The overall trim will trim the whole map. Whether you need more or less, it will do the entire fuel map. And once again, if you apply it, it will apply to the fuel map and change the numbers on the fuel map. If for any reason you have fuel injectors that aren't delivering the same requirements of fuel, or if you have different length fuel runners, for whatever reason, you can calibrate each injector output just by increasing or decreasing the number that you want in there. As previously explained, you can do all this down here on the text screen. This is a 3-dimensional trim table, which is load by RPM. Click once on starting and we have a new screen. The screen has our starting fuel rate trim, our initial fuel pulse, our post-start enrichment trims, our post-start enrichment decay rate, and our flood clear. Any change that's made up on these dials can be made on the text screen down here. If you click twice on the starting, you open up another 2 folders. Starting fuel rate. This starting fuel rate is the rate of fuel that you will be trimming for different temperatures. You can go in and use your x-axis and make that a 1 to 8 scale, and you can use your hotkeys to go up and down. If you highlight the whole line by putting the arrow on the MS and clicking once, you can lift the whole bar up. If you click twice on that, you are asked to put a whole new value in, which you can type in, and that will make that whole line that one value. You can click the x-axis, come back to a much finer resolution for more finer detailed tuning. Click once back onto the starting button. Our starting rate trim by temperature 0. This is plus or minus 50%. So when starting, we now have 8 milliseconds in our start fuel rate. We can increase that if it's colder or decrease that depending on what the engine requirements are. We can do this at 0, 50 and 100 degrees. It will interpolate between the 0 and 50 degrees and the 50 to 100 degrees. Our initial fuel pulse is activated. Depending on whether your car requires a shot of fuel on the very first crank of the motor, You turn this on or off as required. The number underneath, the actual initial fuel pulse add-on, is the injection milliseconds that you want to give that motor. Post-start enrichment. Post-start enrichment is the amount of add-on fuel that is given to the motor once the motor starts. This fuel number is determined by this graph up here. Under the starting, the two folders opened, post-start enrichment rate. Post-start enrichment rate. This is a percentage by temperature of the delivered fuel injection milliseconds. Your post-start enrichment decay mode can be selected as one of 4 different types. You can have it by injector 1 linear, injector 1 percentage of, 0.5 second linear, or 0.5 second percentage. The injector 1 linear means that every time your injector number 1 fires, it will take a percentage off the post-start enrichment. Injector 1 percentage, it will take a certain amount of percentage off every time injector 1 is fired. Or it can be time-based, which is every 0.5 of a second linear or every 0.5 of a second percentage. Post-start enrichment decay rate. This post-start enrichment decay rate means if you have 100% of your post-start being laid down, we're taking 2% of that off. In this example, every time injector 1 fires, we take 2% off that amount of fuel until it's all finished. And this can all be modified for different amounts of post-start enrichment via temperature, 0, 50, 100. Flood clear activate. This will assist you if you feel that you've flooded the engine and need to switch the injection off. If you have it activated and turned on, and above a desired throttle position and not to activate below a desired throttle position setting, this will switch the flood clear on while cranking and up to the cranking RPM that is set. When the flood clear is activated, there is a warning that comes up on the screen saying flood clear